Hello everyone, welcome back inside the PokerGO studio. This is the Big Blind. I'm Jeff Platt here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We are at the quarterfinal stage of our ultimate test of knowledge on all things poker, Vegas, and gambling related. Let's take a look at this second round matchup. Quite the group of characters for you. First up, he is the number 6 overall seed. He came out of the Barstool bunch as the winner. It is Barstool Nate. Did that win give you bragging rights in the office or studio or on the golf course or wherever you all work out of?
Yeah, people couldn't stop talking about it. It was the talk of the town for the last day and a half, yeah, for sure.
A look of confusion on Barstool Smitty's face. The seating lined up. So Smitty, you could be back with your best friend or bitter enemy. Is that true? That's the talk of you, of PFT, of Barstool Nate. Y'all could not stop raving about Nate's win.
Nate won, but he really didn't have to master the ability of game theory towards the end. I think we all saw how masterful play ended up winning in the final round.
And some game theory could come into play right here as well. After a fairly competitive first round matchup against Gary Gates and Prahlad Friedman, the competitive part was the fight for second place. Hence the game theory for this man, Mr. Broke Mogul. Scott Vener is back. Hey, Scott.
What's going on?
Not too much. Happy to have you all here. Thank you all again for joining us. So let us remind you of the rules. Our 3 players today. We'll start with 10,000 in chips. We use a limit hold'em betting structure before our pre-flop action begins. Players will see the hand's category. They can then base their betting on their confidence level in that category. Levels 1 and 2 consist of trivia questions from that topic, a question on the flop, a question on the turn, and a question on the river. Those questions get progressively more difficult. Once you send in your answers, we open up another betting round. So if you know the answer, it may be wise to fire off a bet or a raise. You don't know the answer but think a bluff will get through, go ahead, fire off a bet or a raise. If 2 or more players remain in the hand after the turn, we will go to the river, which will always be set up as a tiebreaker question. And level 3, you'll go against the house, where you'll get a chance to bet some or all of the chips that you have accumulated. More on that later. This is round 2, so it is a quarterfinals matchup. If you win today, you move on to the semifinals. If you finish in second place, you have a chance to move on. We are taking our top 2 second place finishers to the semis as well, and as a reminder, there are 4 quarterfinals matchups. Make it all the way to the finals, you are in the money. Win the finals, you take home $15,000. Finish in second, you take home $10K. Finish in third, you take home $5,000. So of course, once again, we have to put something else on the line for our outright winner today. It is a strategy book. It is one of the best strategy books. It is one Super System, a copy of Doyle Brunson's Super System, and it's in German, just so you can crush that high roller scene.
Guten Tag.
All right, Daniel, hit that music, and here we go. Level 1, the blinds are 100, 200. That means you can bet 200 on the flop, 400 on the turn. Nate is the highest overall seed in this group, so he has the button. Scott is in the small blind. Smitty is in the big blind. Let's take a look at our first hands category. That category is Vegas history. Nate, on the button, you'll lead off our betting. You can raise, call, or fold.
I call.
He will make the call from the button over to Scott. Scott, you can raise, call, or fold.
I call.
Calls as well. Smitty, check or raise. Smitty will check. 3-handed to a flop. Let us take a look at our flop question. What was the first street to be paved in Las Vegas? Send in your answers, please. Scott against Barstool Smitty against Barstool Nate for a spot in the semifinals. All right, our answers are in. Scott, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
I check.
You will check it over to Smitty.
I raise.
Smitty is going to bet over to Nate.
I mean, there's no way you know it.
You don't
That's
know
the
it.
problem here.
If you know it, you gotta fold.
I fold.
He is going to lay it down. Scott?
Wait a minute. You know what's crazy? He has an edge because he knows if he's gonna know something or not.
It's true.
All right, I fold.
I do know what I know.
Scott will also fold. So Smitty takes down this hand. Let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer, Fremont Street, first traffic light added to Fremont Street in 1931. A little bit more fun now than then. Just a guess. Let's see what our players said. Scott made a good fold considering he said I take Ubers. Barstool Nate made a good fold considering he said Main Street, except when you consider the fact that Smitty was on a bluff. Smitty said
Yeah.
Las Vegas Boulevard. The incorrect answer, but who cares? Smitty bet. The other two folded. Smitty wins the hand. So let's take a look at the chip count. Smitty is our chip leader, an overwhelming chip lead, 10,400 in chips. Scott with 9,800. Nate with 9,800 in chips. For this hand, Scott will have the button. Smitty in the small blind. Nate in the big blind. Let's take a look at this hand's category. That category is Johnny Chan, the legend. Scott on the button. You can raise, call, or fold.
Raise.
Going to raise it up over to Smitty in the small blind.
Call it.
Smitty will make the call. Nate.
I call.
Nate will call as well. We are three-handed to a flop once again. Let us take a look at that flop question. Johnny Chan is often referred to by what nickname? Answers, please. All right, our answers are in. Smitty, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
Check.
He's going to check it over to Nate.
I bet.
Nate is going to bet right into Scott.
I fold.
Scott will lay it down. Smitty?
I fold.
He will fold as well. A bet is all it has taken on the flop. Nate wins this hand. Let's go ahead and see what the correct answer was. The Orient Express. We see what our
Can you even
players
say
said.
that?
Me.
Just for fun. Smitty
Can you
said,
even say that
Nobody
anymore?
calls him that.
Oh yeah, that's fun. All right, that's fun.
Smitty said Johnny Balcuzzi. Barstool Nate said the master. Yeah, we hear that in rounders all the time. And Scott said, I'm bluffing. He didn't get the opportunity to bluff because Nate went ahead and fired. Nate took it down on the flop. So taking a look at the chip counts, Nate, our new chip leader, 10,600 in chips. Smitty has 10,000 in chips. Scott has 9,400 in chips. Smitty has the button for this hand. Nate is in the small blind. Scott's in the big blind. Let's see this hand's category. Maybe we'll get a little more action here. The big one for one drop. The $1 million buy-in event at the World Series of Poker. Smitty, you can raise, call, or fold.
Call it.
Smitty will call. Nate in the small blind.
Call.
Nate will call as well. Scott, you can check or raise.
Call.
We'll take a check there. You're in the big blind. So everybody will see this flop question. Who won the trophy and $18.3 million in the very first big one for one drop in 2012? Answers, please. This player beat Sam Trickett heads up for the massive title. All right, our answers are in. Nate, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
I check.
He will check it over to Scott.
I bet.
Scott will bet right into Smitty. Smitty?
I raise.
Smitty's going to raise it up. Action back to Nate.
I call.
Nate makes the side call over to Scott.
I raise.
Scott is going to three bet it. Action back to Smitty.
I call.
Smitty makes the call. Nate?
I call.
Nate will make the call as well before we see what our players said. Let's see what the correct answer is. It is Antonio Esfandiari. This giant score represents about 66% of the Magician's total lifetime live tournament winnings. Let's see who got that. Nate said Antonio. That is correct. Scott said Antonio. That is correct. Smitty said Antonio. That is correct. Everybody gets it right. Everybody moves on to the turn with 2,400 chips in the middle of this pot. Let's see that turn question. In the most recent edition of the tournament, held in 2018, Justin Bonomo beat which German player heads up?
They Google him?
5 seconds. We are watching to make sure there is no Googling. All right, our answers are in. Nate, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
I bet.
He will bet. Scott.
I fold.
Scott will lay it down. Smitty?
I call.
Smitty calls after spending some time in the tank. Before we see what they said, let's see the correct answer. That answer is, it was Fedor. Fedor Holtz finished second place to Justin Bonomo in the big one for one drop in 2018. Let's see what our players said. Nate said it was Fedor. That is correct. Scott, by the way, was forgetting Fedor's name. Was it close? Was it on the tip of your tongue? You said he wears glasses. We know you were picturing him.
I know. For some reason, I take too much Ambien. I forgot his name.
On to Smitty. Smitty said Dr. Gutentag. That is incorrect. He maybe thought
brother.
that name was on the bluff or that Nate would get it
nickname,
wrong.
though. That's his well-known. It's his well-known.
It's
nickname.
a
Just like
very
Johnny Chan's
well-known
well-known
nickname. Unfortunately, the judges have told me that they're not going to count nicknames for this one. So Nate gets it right. Nate extends his chip lead. That is a wrap for level 1. We raise the stakes in level 2 next. Back here on the big blind, let us take a look at our chip counts. Nate, our chip leader, 12,600 in chips. Smitty in second with 8,800. Scott in third with 8,600. Level 2, the blinds are 200, 400. That means you can bet 400 on the flop, 800 on the turn. What's on the line? How about a spot in our semifinals when the finals are just within reach? A win today gets you to the semis. Second place might get you to the semis. We're taking our top 2 second place finishers. You also win a signed copy of German Super System from Doyle Brunson. Again, chapters from Bobby Baldwin, Lyle Berman, Todd Brunson, Johnny Chan, the legend, Daniel Negreanu, and that is a signed copy. There we go. Back to the action. It is level 2, 200, 400. Nate has the button. Scott in the small blind. Smitty is in the big blind. Let's take a look at the category for this hand. Mixed games. Doesn't quite seem like a mixed games crowd, but we will see. I will describe a game. You guys will tell me the name of the game that I am talking about. Nate, on the button, you will lead off our betting. You can raise, call, or fold.
I call.
Nate is going to call over to Scott. You can do the same, raise, call, or fold.
Call.
Call. Smitty is in the big blind. You can check or raise.
Raise.
He is going to raise it up. Action back to Nate.
Call.
Nate will make the call. Scott?
Call.
Scott will call as well. Three-handed to this flop. Let's take a look at this flop's question. This game has 7 cards dealt per player. Straights and flushes do not count. The worst hand wins. Answers, please. Up to 7 cards dealt per player. Flushes don't count. Straights don't count. And again, the worst hand wins. All right, our answers are in. Scott, you're in the small blind, so your first act. You can check or bet.
Check.
He will check it over to Smitty. Smitty, you can check or bet.
Raise. Bet.
Smitty is going to bet it over to Nate. A frustrated
Call.
Nate. Nate makes the call. Action back to Scott.
All right, I call.
Scott.
Even though I think I'm wrong.
Scott makes the call. Let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is... yeah, it's Raz. 7 cards. Worst hand wins. Let's see what our players said. Scott thought
No
he
way
was
Smitty
wrong.
got that.
He was right. He said Raz. Nate says no way Smitty got it. Well, Smitty said... yeah, he said 7 deuce low to high. And that is incorrect. Barstool Nate almost exasperated. Barstool Nate, by the way, said Raz, so he does get it right. Smitty out of this hand, and Scott and Barstool Nate will see our turn. Let's take a look at that turn question. Which Las Vegas casino spreads the most Omaha high-low cash games? Answers, please. Where can you get your Omaha 8 or better fix? All right, our answers are in. Scott, your first act. Again, you can check or bet.
Bet.
Scott is going to bet. Nate?
I mean, there's no way you know this, so call.
So he's going to make the call. Before we see if he knows it, let's see what the correct answer is. The Arlene's spreading the most Omaha high-low cash games. We'll see if Scott did know that. Scott did not. Scott said the Bellagio, which is an interesting guess because Nate also said the Bellagio. Both of you get it wrong, so both of you move on to our river tiebreaker. Let's take a look at that tiebreaker question. In the 2019 World Series of Poker, the 2 dealer's choice events offered players the choice between how many poker variants? Answers, please. How many different games could players choose from in the dealer's choice events? Scott Clements won the $1,500 dealer's choice. Adam Friedman won the $10K, just like he did in 2018. Pretty impressive. All right, our answers are in. Before we see what our contestants weighed in with, let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is 20. They could choose from up to 20 games. Let's see who got closest. We check in with Scott first. Scott said 8 games. It's a little bit more than the 8-game mix, so he is 12 off. Nate says 14, just 6 off. That is good enough. That is close enough. And Barstool Nate takes down another pot to extend his chip lead. Taking a look at the chip counts, Nate has 15,800 in chips. Smitty with 7,600. Scott in third with 6,600. For this hand, Scott has the button. Smitty in the small blind. Nate in the big blind. Let's take a look at this category. Online screen names. I give you the name of the player. You give me his online screen name. Scott is on the button.
All right, I check.
You can call on the button. Is that what you would like to do?
Not an option, man.
I call.
He will call. Smitty is in the small blind. You can call, raise, or fold.
Call.
Make the call over to Nate.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's see it. He says check. Let's see it. Let's see our flop question. Victor Blum. Answers, please. What did this Swedish phenom go by online? All right, our answers are in. Smitty, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
Check.
Smitty will check over to Nate.
I bet.
Nate fires 400 on this flop. Action is on Scott.
I fold.
Scott lays it down. Smitty?
I gotta fold.
Smitty folds as well, no matter what. Nate takes down this pot. Let's see the correct answer. Isildur won. We would have taken Isildur as well. He took the poker world by storm in 2009, rising quickly through the ranks until he was battling the best players for the biggest pots. Nate did have it right, by the way. He did have the correct answer. Good folds by Smitty and Scott. Smitty said the Blumpkin. Kind of like that nickname. And Scott said, I can't believe it's been this long since online poker. Very, very fair point. Taking a look at the chip counts. Nate now has 16,600 in chips. Smitty in second with 7,200. Scott in third with 6,200. For this hand, Smitty has the button. Nate is in the small blind. Scott is in the big blind as we take a look at this hand's category. It is Blackjack. I've seen Barstool Smitty run it up at the Blackjack table. Smitty, you are on the button. You lead off our betting. You can raise, call, or fold.
First of all, that's a lie, and you know it. Second of all, raise.
that is a raise over to Barstool Nate.
Hit me!
That was just the biggest lie I ever told. I call.
Nate will make the call. Scott.
I call.
Scott calls as well. Three-handed to our flop. Let's take a look at the flop question. The mathematically optimal way to play blackjack, shown on cards you can purchase in any casino gift shop, is known as what? All right, our answers are in. That means we open up another betting round. Nate, you're first to act. You can check or bet.
I mean, this question is whatever. I check.
He checks it over to Scott.
I check also.
He will check it over to Smitty.
Hit me.
But that's hit me in this case. Okay, yeah. hit me as a bet.
We were saying blackjack terms. Hit me as a bet, right?
Right. Hit me as a bet. He said hit me as he hit the table. We're going to count it as a bet over to Barstool Nate.
Last time he did that, it was a check, though.
But he said
I
hit
call
me.
Also.
Nate,
Nate,
you called?
It's fine. I call.
Yeah, we call.
Okay, Nate called. Scott called. Before we see what our players said, let's take a look at the correct answer. We're taking a couple here. Basic strategy, or we'll also accept by the book. So let's look at what Barstool Nate had to say. He said by the book. That is correct. Scott said by the book. That is correct. Smitty said the mathematically optimal way to play blackjack is counting cards. He's not wrong. I don't think we will be accepting that answer. We were looking for basic strategy or playing blackjack by the book. But yeah,
that's outrageous.
Not a bad answer there by Smitty. All right, so Barstool Nate and Scott will move on to our turn question. Let's see it. According to basic strategy or the book, you should always split when dealt a pair of either of these two cards. Answers, please.
It's a really good poker face over there.
Is that two cards?
We need two answers.
The confidence exuding here.
And with that, the answers are in. Nate, you saw that confidence. Do you want to bet into that confidence, or do you want to check?
I'm going to go ahead and bet.
He is going to go ahead and fire. Scott, you can raise, call, or fold.
I fold. I don't know the second one.
He will fold. Would have been a sick time for a raise. Let's see the correct answer. Aces and eights. Scott did get the first one. He said aces. Second one, he said 5s. It was a good laydown because Nate had it. Nate had aces and 8s. That means Barstool Nate extends his chip lead, but a lot is on the line. The battle for second place. Our players go against the house next. Welcome back to the Big Blind. Let us take a look at the chip counts. It is Barstool Nate on top of that leaderboard at 19,000 in chips. Smitty has 6K. Scott has 5K. It is now time for our players to go against the house. They are taking their stacks from the poker table to the casino, firing off in the pit. On the line, a guaranteed spot in the semifinals for our winner. Our second place finisher is still live to move on to the next round. We are taking our top 2 second place finishers from our 4 quarterfinal matchups. Now our players have the option to wager as much or as little of their stack as they so choose. They'll see a video featuring a hand from a cash game and a multiple choice question on what hand a player has. So at this point, gentlemen, please send in your wagers. Scott has up to 5K to wager. Smitty has up to 6K. Nate has 19K, and boy, would that be bold. All right, our wagers are in. Let us take a look at this hand from Poker After Dark.
Mike Dentali elects to just flat again with ace king.
Look what I have.
Jacks.
Playing a bit passive and
Fourth place,
conservative.
I'm guessing.
You have all the chips in your hand position, Antonio, so you're in a good place.
Oh my. Oh my.
This would be
We've got a ball game.
Such a setup for me. It's so
3 to a flop, 6,000 in the middle.
Jack.
9 deuce deuce.
That's 4,400.
In position, in control. Jeffy knows what he's in for if he makes this call. Is he ready for war? To the turn we go. Makes the call.
Break my hand so bad, but it's okay.
Jared will check to Antonio. 15,000 in the middle. Because Antonio is bringing it. 9,300. Jared is just not convinced.
That is a large profit.
They have been battling back and forth all day.
You're sick.
Every single situation just like this. There he is. They're headed to dinner afterwards.
Yeah, it's just okay.
Jared makes the call.
Call, small 3.
Down to the river. And another 10. $33,000 in the middle. Jared has 44,000 behind.
Check.
All the cranberries in the middle. All 44,000 needs to go in the middle for Jared. These are the spots that just make you sick to your stomach. This is certainly the hand of the night thus far.
All right, what does Antonio Esfandiari have here? Does he have the ace-king of spades? Does he have the queen-jack of diamonds? Does he have the 6-4 off? Or does he have the 3 deuce of hearts? Send in your answers, please. Firing on the flop, firing on the turn, firing on the river. With what? All right, our answers are in. Let us see what Antonio had.
He makes the call. Unbelievable. He found it. Picks off. massive bluff. $122,000 pot. Big tuna. Up for the test.
Valiant effort.
The old 6-4 off. The bluff from Antonio does not get through. No real drama in who's going to end up as the chip leader today. So let's go ahead and take a look at Barstool Nate's answer first. Nate said it was the Queen Jack. That is incorrect. How much did he wager? 1,420. I have sensed a theme with Nate's wagers throughout the course of this game. So Nate finishes up with 17,580 in chips, and he is assured of the win. But the fight for second place is on. Let's take a look at Scott's answer first. Scott said the 6-4 off. That is correct. He had up to 5K to wager, and he wagered all 5K, every single chip in the middle. So Scott ends this one with 10,000 in chips, and it all comes down to this. Let's take a look at Barstool Smitty's answer first. He said the 6-4 off. That is correct. You see him shaking his head. How much did he wager? He wagered 6,000 in chips. He said all the chips, and that means that Barstool Smitty squeaks out a second place finish. Might be good for a semi-finals berth. He finishes with 12,000. Scott Vener with 10,000. It is Barstool Nate, another win for you. 17,580 in chips. You feeling some real momentum here?
I'm just the best there is.
It's just the best there is. It's that simple. It's hard to argue against him. Smitty, game theory came into play late, right? Just like you said it would?
Yeah, I should just keep folding until the end and be the smartest one.
Might not be a terrible strategy until the finals. Scott, we loved having you. Thank you so much for playing. What was the experience like against Barstool Smitty and Barstool Nate?
This site is rigged.
We have no comment on that matter. It is Barstool Nate who takes home our signed German copy of Super System Deluxe from the great Doyle Brunson. Thank you all so much for playing. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks to our crew. I'm Jeff Platt. We will see you next time on The Big Blind.